So Lachlan, did you see Alex Honnold climbing up that skyscraper?
I've only seen the headlines. I've deliberately not watched it because you reached out straight away and said, we've got to do an emergency episode about this. So I'm like, okay, I'll come in dry. Before we started recording, you showed me a bit, but I want to see it fully.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, this is an emergency Gravity Doctors podcast because we're all about gravity management. And in my book Pull, which is about gravity in the human body, I talk a lot about this guy, Alex Honnold. And you may remember he's an incredible rock climber. And he's famous for having climbed El Capitan, that monolith in Yosemite, without any ropes or anything, no equipment except his bare hands and some chalk. And oh my God, that's just incredible because he's the ultimate gravity fighter. Whereas the rest of us would have our bellies igniting and gut feelings screaming to us that we're going to die. Somehow this guy climbs up the side of a rock face and knows that he can die at any moment, but gets up to the top. And so, he's the ultimate gravity fighter. And now this week, he climbed up this Taipei 101 building, 100 plus floors. And oh my God, it's just amazing to see it.
Should we watch it?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share it on the screen for those of you that can see what's going on with this guy. I mean, here he is. You can just see how high up he is. And the people who themselves may be getting butterflies, watching this guy. I watch this guy has no hands right now, and all I can think about is he's going to fall, and I can literally feel it in my belly. That's the same feeling you get, when you're falling on a roller coaster, when you're having a gravity challenge, you get butterflies telling you that you're about to die. And somehow this guy, look at this.
It's this on the top, no hands. He just stands on the top of a curved dome, 100 stories up.
Curved dome.
Wind blowing. Look at that. He's taking a selfie.
You can easily lose your balance right there, right?
That's hard to watch. That is hard to watch.
I mean, I saw a comment that somebody said, if I train for 10 years, I'll be able to watch this video without feeling nauseous. And here he is. He's hugging his wife, like just a day on the park. No big deal.
He's got a child now, is that right? I remember when he first did Free Solo, he was unattached. He'd met his girlfriend, now wife. He's got kids now, so he's got things to live for. But again, you're saying his brain just doesn't register the fear in the same way it does for us.
They've looked at his brain, and they've done functional MRI scans. And it turns out his amygdala, which is sort of the emotion center that, we all have, this walnut-shaped, we have two of them, walnut-shaped emotion center deep in the brain, is quiet. His amygdala is like silent. Whereas the rest of us have an emotional response when we look down and have this, gravity challenge. His doesn't. And the way they studied this is they showed him various images, kind of terrifying images, like a sort of image that would create emotional response in the rest of us. But, he recognizes the terror. He says he does feel emotions. It's not like he's a sociopath or has no empathy or anything.
Yeah.
But his amygdala doesn't light up. It's absolutely quiet.
It's like physiologically, physiologically, it doesn't take him over. It allows everything to keep functioning where we might get paralyzed by that kind of fear. He doesn't. He can just keep moving.
Right. And I always think of it kind of like the opposite of somebody with fear of heights. The exact opposite, whether you have fear of heights or if you have chronic pain, irritable bowel syndrome, fibromyalgia. In all of these situations, the amygdala tends to be very vigilant, really hyperactive, and his is hypoactive.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you a sense of what's involved to not fear gravity. It requires that you kind of shut down that emotion center.
And there is something for me about the emotional side of gravity that's to do with the Salience network or the anterior insular cortex. It's a part of the brain that's highly connected with the amygdala that is detecting what parts of the environment or our body we maybe should have an emotional response to, what's salient in the environment. And it sounds to me like he has that recognition. It's there. He can simulate what's happening in gravity internally. He's got to make those predictions. So the Salience network, the anterior insula, also simulates graviceptive cues. Rather than having to do it physically, it lets you imagine what would happen. So it's like he can imagine it. It's not like he doesn't see the potential for injury or death, but that doesn't connect to his amygdala and create that paralyzing flight and fight response. He can just go straight through.
Yeah. Well, I wonder how adaptive that is, right? It makes sense to, have that ability to kind of be incredibly courageous. I mean, it's almost like courage, if you think of it this poetically, as I tend to do, is the ability to look into, the jaws of death and keep staring, which is exactly what he's doing. It's like to be able to understand that gravity can take you at any moment, but to persist nonetheless.
Yeah.
And that's what he's able to do.
And you can see it in kids. So I've got a 6-year-old now who loves his go-kart. He loves the G-forces. He loves spinning it, but he's got cousins and friends who just won't go near it. So there's obviously, kind of inborn, some kind of variation across the population, different tolerances for G-forces and for gravity, in terms of heights and thrill seeking. But at a population level, that variation is really important. We can't all be Alex Honolds. If everyone was like that, too many people would die by the age of 25 and not procreate and, pass genes on. Like, there's a high death rate in his community of thrill seekers. But if everyone was down the other end of the spectrum as well and didn't take any risks, then we wouldn't have gone to the moon. Like, we wouldn't have had, Buzz Aldrin and these guys who are calm under pressure.
Right.
So I think, graviception and gravity sensitivity, it's important that there is a continuum. So you've got to essentially figure out where you are on that continuum and adapt to it, and maybe push yourself one way or the other, probably more towards the insensitive type. I think that's most of our listeners. The motivation would be, I feel those gut feelings. I have this sense of weight on my shoulders. Maybe I need to restructure my relationship with gravity and become a bit more gravity resilient.
Right. Yeah, well, it makes me think of your theory of mental gravity and the idea that anxiety is a sense of falling and depression is, fall in. And here's a guy that literally can fall at any moment to his death, and, soldiers on.
Yeah.
He doesn't strike me as anxious at all. I mean, you can't be anxious at all, can you?
No.
And do
No.
that. What we just witnessed there.
Yeah.
So he's sort of the anti-anxiety, like phenotype.
Yeah. And it's through training as well. Like, if I've seen Free Solo, the documentary about his El Capitan scaling without ropes, and there's a hell of a lot of training that goes into it. Like, he's doing pull-ups with one finger,
Right.
like one or two finger, like on one hand. Like, he's obviously muscular definition and refinement is to the extreme as well. So he's got the inborn ability plus, years of training. We talk about Kathy Freeman, she has this inborn ability to feel stillness and composure, even though there's all this mountain of pressure, and then release that when she's running and just run and glide. He's doing the same thing. He's gliding vertically. Like, he can just, it's like he's not even touching the ground, touching the wall. He's just like, okay, it's not like I'm feeling excess weight or, getting ahead of the sensation. So he's not anticipating, which is what anxiety is mentally. It's over anticipation, too much future orientation. The future's a scary place. He doesn't do that. He just thinks about and lives in the moment. And that's what the anterior insula is actually good at in terms of time perception and orientation. It not only, simulates gravity, it embodies you in the present moment. So that's what he can do. He can do that to an extreme degree, but not trigger his amygdala at the same time. So he's got this differentiation between the two.
Yeah, and if you hear him interviewed, that's exactly what he talks about. He talks about how he trains to be in the moment. And I think we say that a lot, but we're not really in the moment. There may be some part of you that is projecting forward just a little bit. Like right now, I'm thinking, hey, how are we going to end this discussion, right? Well, that's not in the moment. That's in the future.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
moment is literally this very instantaneous, nanosecond as we're engaging with one another. And somehow he can do that. And he
Yeah.
talks about how to survive on the edge of a building, the edge of a cliff, you have to be fully dialed into that very nanosecond as your fingers are feeling the rocks, or in this case, a building, thinking about how you're going to move your body, solving this problem. I guess there's a little bit of projection. You have to figure out what you're about to do. But he speaks exactly as you said. So I wonder, I mean, the anterior insula is a very important part of graviception. We talk a lot about that, you
For
know.
sure. And it's not to say that being in the moment is a universal, unalloyed good. There are
Mm,
limits to it. So in
mm,
depression, you can feel like you're trapped in the present moment, that you
mm,
can't escape. There is no future. There's
mm,
only a past that you can reflect on. So you get trapped in this present rumination cycle over
right.
past memories because you're not anticipating. It's the
Yeah.
opposite of anxiety, even though we talk about depression as the fallen state. It's the opposite in terms of orientation to the future. So that
Mm,
anterior insula can be overactive. So again, it's this U curve. There are good sweet spots in the middle. You need to find where your middle point is. For Alex Honnold, the middle point is way past, the center point or the extremes of anyone, in the regular population. But for those with depression and anxiety, at a population level, we need to, find ways to help people get towards a healthier relationship with the present. Not too much, not too little.
mm. So, in an interesting way, we can study this extreme phenotype
Mm,
and see it as the, you know, far version, the most extreme version that a human can achieve psychologically and physically, mind, body, uh, uh, sort of, boy, like peacefulness with
mm,
oneself,
yeah,
the opposite of feeling anxious, and then figure out what can we do to embody some of that.
yeah,
And, I think it starts to unlock a lot of the time-tested techniques that, cognitive behavioral therapists use and, psychologists use. Like, what can we learn from him so that everyday people like us who do feel anxious from time to time, can employ to be a little bit more like Alex Honnold?
yeah. And, you know, learn that anxiety is adaptive sometimes. It's not adaptive in this situation, but we talk a lot about there being a youth mental health crisis at the
Mm,
at the present, and it's something that we have to sort of clamp down and flatten the curve of the rising rates of mental ill health. But the world is also a scarier place than it used to be 20, 30, 40 years ago. So some of that anxiety is maybe reasonable or rational for young people who are facing like a polycrisis of climate change and economic
mm,
downturn and instability and political ructions. And
mm,
I think there has to be an acceptance that maybe a certain level of increased anxiety is natural in a world that we're currently living in. So what can we do to help people? Like Alex Honnold doesn't do this, even though he doesn't have ropes. He's taking a lot of precautions. He's doing a lot of training. He has
mm,
chalk. He has things to help him in the moment, even though he's in it. So how can we help people deal with the environment that they're in? It's like
mm,
as a society, we're kind of scaling a more vertical cliff at the moment. Things are
mm.
more challenging.
Yeah,
So if that's making people anxious and even
yeah.
depressed, how do we not flatten the curve? We can't change the conditions of the world instantly. So how can we help people adapt in the moment?
Well, you just said it. It requires more training. Just
Yeah,
as Alex Honnold has to train intensely
yeah,
to stay in the moment in such extreme circumstances. If the world around us is becoming steeper, we need to train for that.
yeah,
If we don't train for it, we're going to feel like we're falling, if not literally
yeah,
falling down in life. And so, that's what cognitive behavioral therapy is about. For example, it's about practicing and training one's mind to think differently, to think about those cognitions that you have that aren't very helpful, those thoughts that really are maladaptive and are hurting you, causing you to be more likely to fall, and facing up to them and replacing them bit by bit with better thoughts
Yeah.
that allow you to stay on the side of the building and not fall, right? It takes time and
Yeah.
energy.
And it's only CBT is really only one part of like an overall mental fitness program. Like some people don't respond well to CBT. It doesn't work for them. It's like weight training is not for everyone.
Right.
If CBT is not for you, there are other things that you can do to create the same effect or to improve your mental fitness. So mental fitness is a relatively new word. So we've talked a lot about mental well-being, mental health. Mental fitness is now this positive side of it where the implication is it is something that you can work on. It's not just something you have or don't have. It's something that you work on.
Well, it is meditation, right? I mean, meditation is
breath
all
work,
about
yoga,
practicing being in the moment,
Yeah.
thinking about your breathing and the feelings of your breath and the feelings of your diaphragm and seeing thoughts come and go and not becoming attached to them and following them. And in a way, that's another form of training to become resilient to this metaphorical gravity that's pulling us down.
Yeah, and also things that take you out of the moment or sort of release or relax the moment. So socializing with friends, watching comedy, something that sort of, might be viewed as not an active, focused pursuit. Some of that's also important. It's about balancing it out. We can't be 100% go, go, go all the time on mental fitness either. That will lead to mental fatigue and burnout.
Right.
So how does Alex Honnold ensure that his muscles are ready to do what he's doing without overtraining? I mean, the Australian Open's on at the moment. A lot of these people are playing 4-hour games in 40-degree Celsius heat. They have a rest day. Do they train that day or do they actually rest? Like they've got to taper all this stuff properly. Marathon runners, you're a marathon runner. You can't overtrain. You've got to get this sweet spot, which involves rest before the race.
Yeah.
So it's all about balance across a range of mental fitness pillars or whatever the factors are, whatever the exercises, the workouts that you need to do. Cognitive training, doing a crossword, making sure that you feel cognitively alert, and problem solving, reading a book. Like all of these things can be good in balance for you, your own balance.
So in a nutshell, Alex Honnold teaches us a lot about mental health, teaches us about mental gravity.
Yeah.
And, as you like to say, these are not just metaphors, and that's no metaphor. He's going up the side of a building and he literally needs to be in the moment to stay upright and moving.
Yeah. So let's not all be Alex Honnold's, but let's channel 1% of him.
That's right. 1%. That'll go a long way.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if he climbs another building. I hope this is the last one. I certainly am not going to be climbing any spires because of what he did, but it certainly inspires me to think about what humans are capable of and what I'm capable of if we think about training the mind the way he trains his mind and his body and overcoming and ultimately literally defying gravity. It's really an inspiring story.
It is. Just do some dead hangs. That's enough. That's the 1%. Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right. See ya. If you liked that episode, please like and subscribe and tell your friends about the Gravity Doctors. You can also follow us on social media. Check out the book Pull, and you can also check out our show notes for tips and links to some of our scientific articles. You can follow us online at thegravitydoctors.com. You can follow me, BrennanSpiegelMD.com, and Dr. Lachlan at lachlankent.au.